Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to demonstrate the features of the Code Syntax add-on for Google Docs. And there are three relevant menu items: Colorize, Colorize Selection As, and Change Mode To. And we will have a look at each of them separately. So Colorize is the most important entry. It takes the whole document that you have and colorizes your document according to the subset of Markdown. So let's add a little bit of text to the document here. And the recognized Markdown elements are headers, the things that start with hashes. Then it recognizes inline code spans, things that are in single backticks. And then most importantly, it recognizes code blocks, also known as code fences, where you have triple ticks followed potentially by a programming language. And when you click on Code Syntax Colorize, it will run through the document, find these recognized elements, and then change them to either be headers, titles correctly, so in this case it became a title, or also change the color and font of inline code spans and the code blocks. If you now change the document, let's say we add another line here, you can see that initially the colors are not going to fit, but if you run the code syntax again, it will use the background color of the code segment to realize that, to remember the language that was used and highlight it again. So we can also, just for completeness sake, add another language, like for instance Python, and in this case it will also highlight this one now. And if you create a code block with the wrong language, or language that the add-on doesn't recognize, let's say foobar, then it will not highlight or color that block. This is to avoid getting the impression that the add-on colored it the wrong way. You have to go back and change it or remove it entirely, in which case it will then correctly color it or make it a code block. And this actually brings us directly to the next menu item, or the third menu item, which is Change Mode To. Change Mode To takes a code block, it takes the code block where the cursor is, and changes the coloring to whatever language you have. So let's just say we want to color this again as Python. Then we just go in and change it to color as Python. Generally, you use this if you forgot to add a programming language, but you can obviously also just see how this language would be colored if it was Shell, for instance. So there are ways of using the add-on this way. If the cursor is not in a code block, that menu item just doesn't do anything. The final menu item is to highlight the selection. So if you want to, you can also just write inline code in your document. So let's just do this. Let's add a code, a C code here. I can now select that code and ask to select the add-on to color the selection as C. And it will do that, but in this case it didn't create a code block, so this is now inline text. And that works fine, except that if you now add, for instance, a new line, then, and you colorize again, the add-on does not know that what you had selected here was initially C, and will not recolor it. So you will have to reselect the inline code and run the code selection, the colorize selection by hand again. And then it will correctly change the color. So generally we prefer code segments. Not only do they stick out nicely, but they also allow you to colorize your document over time and keep the code in the right color. I hope this video gave you an idea of what this add-on does and how you want to use it. If you're missing a language or if you encounter issues, please let me know, and enjoy.